Hey everybody, Shawn from HolsingerFlyShop.com here. Bringing another tying video this week, and it's a dry fly pattern. A couple weeks ago, I brought one to you. It was Tom Baltz's ant pattern, and this week it's another one of his. It's the Paranymph. This is one of Tom's staple flies. It's one that he's very famous for here in Pennsylvania. Tom's a great tyer. If you ever get to a show and he's there, you need to stop and watch Tom tie. He's an incredible tyer, and this is one of his favorite patterns. He catches a lot of fish on it. It's a emerging nymph pattern. It's parachute style fly, but it's nymph emerging out of the tusk and getting stuck in that water column, not floating on top, but right in it, and it works really well. Here you're going to see the picture of it, then the material list to tie it, and the video to tie it. Okay, here you see Baltz's Paranymph in the vise. Very cool fly. Very good fish catching fly. This is one that Tom's very well known for. For a hook, I'm going to use a Holsinger Fly Shop dry fly hook. This is a size 14. You want to tie these, 12s to 18s. 14 is going to look good in the video, and it's going to be good all around, just a generic size here. So start out with the hook, put some thread on, use whatever kind of thread you like here. I'm using some Semperfli Nanosilk 12 watt black. And for a tail, this is going to be a shuck. This is an emerging insect. And so this is a shuck for a tail. For the tail, we're going to use some Antron. And this is dark brown. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take a full piece of it is a little bit thicker than that. There you can see how much thicker it is. I'm going to cut it in half, pull it in half, or 3/4-ish, I should say. A little bit more than half the fibers, pull them out, and I don't want it a full thickness. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it over, see where it is, the length of the hook. That's the length of the tail I want, because this is actually supposed to represent the shuck of the insect. So the shuck is the same size as the emerging insect here. And then I'm just going to trim the edges a little bit so it's a little bit offset and not such a blatant straight cut there. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the post on this. For a post, I'm going to use some calf tail. And in his fly, he actually uses calf body hair. I don't have any. I got some calf tail. It works just fine. I'm going to put it in my hair stacker. Stack it up, get all the tips the same length, and then pull them out. Now, once I get all my hair lined up the same length, and you can look at other videos to see how to do that, but it's a pretty simple process. Line them all up, get them all the same length, and then I want this about the same length as the hook shank again. So that's how high I want it to be. So I'm going to lay that up there. I'm going to see I want it a little bit shorter than in my fingers there. And then I want it to be about 1/3 of the way back from the eye. So we're just going to stop there 1/3 of the way back. Put a couple wraps on there. Make sure it's where I want it. I like that. And then I'm going to make a couple wraps in front. I might move that up just a hair. Whoops. There, I like it better there. Then I'm going to come back, get a couple wraps in front, and work on standing this up. So wrap it in there where it'll stand up a little bit, and then I'm going to make a couple wraps around it. So what I'm going to do is make like 2 or 3 wraps around it, and then 1 around the hook shank. And do that a couple times. 2 or 3 wraps around it, 1 around the hook shank. That helps stand it up like you see there. Now I'm going to take the rest of this calf body hair, I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to cut it at an angle. So I want it to taper down with that fly body. And then we're just going to wrap that down. And I like using the Nanosilk here because I can get pretty tight on it and wrap it down tight. Not build up too much extra body with my wraps for one. Also, I can pull pretty hard on here and not worry about it breaking. So I like that feature of the Nanosilk. Now, this one you do or do not have to do. I'm going to put one strand of Krystal flash on here. It's just going to give it a nice little ribbing here in a second. And just tie that on and tie it back to that shuck. I got a couple stragglers there. Trim them off. I got one in my tail. Get that out of there. Okay, now I got my post built up there. Got my ribbing on. Let's put a little bit of the body. For the body, I'm just using some Hare's Ear Plus. This is Hare's Ear dubbing. Same stuff I use for a waltz worm. So just put whatever you want on here to make it whatever color you'd like. I'm just going for a natural color here, that Hare's Ear. Tom's pattern calls for Hare's Mask. Put it on there pretty thin. And it's going to be pretty buggy when you wrap it on here. That's what's nice about this Hare's Mask. Keep it on there thin. I don't want to build it up there, you see. And then I'm just going to wrap my rib up. Make nice even wraps. You don't need to do this. It's just an extra little feature. Tom doesn't do it on his. I just like it. Adds just a little extra to the fly. Trim that off there, and then we're going to put our hackle on. For the hackle, I'm just using a dry fly Grizzly hackle here. And this is off a saddle. You can use a saddle, cape, whatever. I have an old video about whether you use a saddle or cape. You should check that out. If you have questions about that, go back and look that one up. Describes what you're going to need as a tyer, what level of tying you are. The saddles is more for a commercial tyer like me. But if you like to tie a lot of dry flies or you're a dry fly only guy, then that's what you want. But when you do this, as you see here, I put it on, I started it on, up by the eye, made a couple wraps, and then I wrapped it onto the post and I went up the post with it. Then I'm going to come back down here behind the eye and I'm going to put the head on this fly. And I'm just going to use a little bit more of this same color. You could actually switch to a darker color here and that would work just fine too. Make a two-tone body on it would look great. Try to match whatever hatch you want to imitate in your area. This would be a great sulfur one, a lighter colored sulfur. But this is really, it's just a generic pattern. Now you can see there I started at the eye, wrapped back to that post, made a couple wraps on both sides of that post. And then my last wrap, I'm going to come up and put one wrap around the post and let it hang down. By doing that, it prepares me to tie off my hackle here in a second. And we're just going to start wrapping our hackle around the post. Come up one or two wraps with it. Oops. And then I'm going to keep each wrap underneath. So I want to keep wrapping down. And I want to get about 5 wraps on here. Once I get them wrapped, those 5 wraps on, I'm just going to pull that hackle straight down as you see. And then I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to wrap around the body of the fly. So you see me lift my bobbin up to go over the eye, and then I come back down with it. And then I go over the hackle, over the back of the body, back down. What I'm doing by doing that is not trapping the hackle fibers so much. And then I'm just going to trim off my saddle hackle there. Kind of pull this back to straighten it up a little bit, and then come up here, and we're going to whip finish. And Tom, when Tom ties this fly, he likes to, when tying parachutes, he prefers to whip finish on the post. And I agree with Tom. I like whip finishing on the post if I can. It just finishes it off nicely. Just try not to trap hackle when you do it. Get 2 nice little small whip finishes on there. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to flip this upside down here. Make sure I got all the hackle. I'm going to trim off any stragglers that are hanging down. And there you see you got a nice little Paranymph. Get the angle right there for the camera. You want this to ride like that. You don't want any of the fibers sticking down that's going to throw it offside or anything like that. That's a great looking fly. That's going to catch you some fish. Okay guys, I hope you like this pattern. It's a killer pattern, and like I said, Tom's an incredible tyer, and a person that I'm lucky enough to call a friend. I love the fact that I get to do the tying shows and get to be around guys like Tom and consider them friends. So it's a great pattern. It's a real fish catcher. The way he ties it in his original pattern works great for sulfurs, where he uses Hare's mask, blends it up. It's a little bit darker than the one I tied here. But it's going to work. Mess around, use different colors. You can use a little bit different materials if you like, if you don't have Hare's mask or Hare's ear dubbing, whatever. Play around with the different colors, but get your post and get that shuck on the back. Get that one that's stuck in the water column trying to bust out of its shuck, and it's crippled. So I do real well with crippled patterns. It's an easy target for a trout, rather than the one that's sitting on the top that's about to fly away. Those crippled ones, they just look very enticing, an easy meal to a trout. So don't be afraid to try this kind of pattern when you see a hatch coming off. So have fun tying, guys. That's what this sport is all about, and what tying's all about. It's about relaxing and having fun. Take your time and learn with things here. Learn the techniques. Practice these posts. You know, the posts are a little bit hard to get when you first start tying. Get some calf body, which Tom uses in his pattern. A little bit harder to find than the calf tails. Calf tails are sometimes hard to find too. But straighter hair than the calf tail, which will stack a little bit nicer. So you just play around with whatever works, whatever you can get your hands on. Use Antron yarn. If you don't have any, you have Antron yarn, use some Antron yarn to make your post. Whatever you need to do to get the job done, to learn the techniques. Play around, have fun. That's what it's all about. So thanks for watching, guys. You need me to tie any, you have any questions on anything, as always, guys, feel free to email me, reach out with any questions, or if you're interested in a guide trip with me, holsingersflyshop@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to get right back to you. And like I said, any custom orders, that's what I do all day long when I'm not guiding, is I tie custom order flies. So you can find them at holsingersflyshop@gmail.com. Any of the materials you need to tie these, like our own line of hooks now, which we're really happy with, you can find them at our website at holsingersflyshop.com. So thanks for watching, guys. Love bringing these to you. I'll be back with another one next Thursday night at 7:30. Until then, I'm Shawn Holsinger.